Today I'm joined by Rebecca Barrett, a wealth planner at JM Fin who specialises in helping female clients navigate investment and long-term financial planning. We're looking at the gender gap in investing and financial advice, because while women in the UK are accumulating wealth at a growing rate, uptake on investment and professional financial guidance hasn't kept pace, and that gap has real consequences over time. From the structural and cultural barriers that still hold women back, to what genuinely effective financial planning looks like in practice, and how the advice industry can still do better. This is a conversation about where things stand and what it takes to change them. Thank you very much for joining today, Rebecca.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. So, Rebecca, we hear a lot about how women are evening the playing field in terms of wealth ownership and catching up with men. What are the factors behind this?
So the first factor is to do with entrepreneurs. We are seeing more female entrepreneurs. The female billionaire population is increasing. So we're now at 13.3%, which is up from 9% in 2010. We're then seeing a change in consumer preferences. So what were niche markets are now huge growth markets, which women are leading the innovation for. We are also seeing more women in leadership roles. So on the FTSE 350, we are seeing them report women in boards. There's now 43% of women on boards in those industries, and then also more in leadership positions. We then see inherited wealth. So as the baby boomer generation passes wealth down, females are receiving a lot of that wealth. And then in the UK, ultimately 42% of UK marriages end in divorce. And so we do see huge financial settlements in which women do benefit quite greatly.
I see. And from your experience day-to-day working in the industry, do you think female uptake of investing and wealth management planning is where it needs to be?
In short, I think the answer is no. We are seeing more women investing, which is absolutely fantastic. But I think there is more that can be done. We see that with the pension gender gap, that there's a huge disparity between men and women and what they've saved into their pensions over the longer term. My advice would be to start as early as possible. Compound growth is your friend. It can make a huge difference over the longer term. Speak to a professional and start as early as possible to invest. And, the idea is that you will be on a level playing field with your male counterpart in the future.
And really following straight on from that, what are the barriers to women investing and taking financial advice?
I think there's many layers to this. So I think, and it's complicated. I think a lot of it comes down to confidence, firstly. But, we do have a gender gap in the UK for investments and for pensions. So there's no wonder that there's a barrier here. Women typically will have less to invest over their lifetime. But what I will say is, we want to empower women to be as confident as possible investing. And it's not just for the ultra high net worth. It's not for those with high risk appetites. Anyone can invest, and we can speak with people who have small amounts to invest, or in fact large sums to invest. My advice would be to engage with a financial advisor and investment manager early and discuss your objectives.
Great, and you've touched a bit on the barriers to why women aren't getting involved in investing and wealth planning. Can you please explain what the benefits of investing in financial planning are?
Absolutely. So many benefits. So the first being that ideally you meet your goals in the longer term. But really, the government give us multiple allowances that can be used on an annual basis. So understanding what they are and how best to use them to be as tax efficient as possible. The benefits of compound growth, as I said, over the long term are huge. So, just small amounts, month on month, year on year, really do accumulate. It also means that you might be able to retire earlier than you anticipated, live the lifestyle you want to live, and ultimately give you financial security. And potentially, if there's money there, still to pass on to your beneficiaries in the future.
I see. And finally, how can yourself and the wider team at JM Fin help female clients in this?
JM Fin are a huge advocate for women investing. We've run multiple campaigns over the last few years, really focusing on giving confidence to women to invest and ensuring that they understand and we don't use any form of sort of jargon that the industry is rife for. I think we would happily speak with absolutely anybody, and we would encourage anybody to come and speak with us and have a conversation, have that starting conversation. We have multiple surveys that we run, and all of our female clients seem to give us good reviews over the years. So please do come and have that conversation.
And you touched a little bit there on the reports you've done and with JM Fin and the wider community. Can you elaborate a bit more about the impact those have had and you've seen from your experience?
Absolutely. So as I say, we've run multiple campaigns which involves prospective clients, existing clients, intermediaries, any real contacts that we have at JM Fin. And it's encouraged women to start talking. It's encouraged women to start understanding a little bit more about maybe what they are doing, what they could be doing better. And really, it just gives someone a reason to start. I think often we are all, we all wait in our lives to start something at some point and never get round to it. And actually having these conversations now, it encourages people to begin that journey, whether it's a small amount now, but just start somewhere, and it can, who knows where it will go.
Amazing. Well, Rebecca, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate your insight, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners will find that really useful.
Thank you.